Ready to dive into Shambhavi Maha Mudra with me today. We're going deep with this ancient practice, and trust me, it's way more than just, closing your eyes and chanting Om. This is about bridging the gap between, like, our physical selves and that inner stillness we all have within.
It's a beautiful concept.
Yeah, it's about breath work and focus and, specific postures and the potential benefits. Whoa, they really got me hooked, I gotta say. Reduced stress and anxiety, like even in the craziest situations.
That's a big one for a lot of people these days.
Totally. And building up emotional resilience, finding a deeper sense of peace, and even becoming more mindful in everyday life.
It's a holistic practice for sure.
Yeah. Even touches on deeper spiritual growth, no matter what your background is. And to help us unpack all of this, we have our expert with us today. They can shed some light on the history, the philosophy of Shambhavi Mahamudra, and why it matters in today's world.
One thing that really stood out to me is that this isn't just some new age fad, right?
Not at all.
Right.
Shambhavi Mahamudra has deep roots going all the way back to the Siddha lineage.
Right.
What's that?
It's this incredible tradition where enlightened masters pass down wisdom about consciousness itself.
Wow.
It's serious stuff, a practice with some serious historical weight and depth.
That definitely makes you think about its potential. So, what's the core philosophy? What are we actually trying to tap into with this practice?
Well, at its heart, it's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything.
Like everything.
Everything. The idea is that by cultivating inner stillness, we can actually experience that unity firsthand.
That's a big idea.
It is. It's about connecting to something larger than ourselves and using that stillness, that quiet within, as the doorway.
The book we've been using keeps mentioning mindfulness. It seems like a key part of Shambhavi Mahamudra. So how does it approach mindfulness exactly?
Well, mindfulness in this context is, it's not just about being present during meditation.
So it's more than that.
Yeah. It's about bringing that presence, that awareness to every single moment. Walking, eating, even listening to someone speak.
So it's more like a constant state of awareness, something you carry with you.
Exactly. And breath plays a really interesting role in all of this. It's not just breathing, in and out. It's about syncing your breath with your thoughts, with your intentions, almost like you're intentionally influencing your energy.
Now that's interesting. Can you talk more about that energy aspect? You become curious. How does that work?
Okay, so think of your breath as this bridge.
Okay.
It connects your physical body and your inner world.
That makes sense.
And in Shambhavi Mahamudra, they link breath to this concept of prana.
Prana.
Yeah. It's this vital life force energy, according to ancient Indian philosophy.
Okay.
And so the idea is that by consciously controlling the breath, you can influence the flow of prana throughout your body.
I'm starting to get a sense of how it all connects. Another thing that surprised me in the book was, like, the emphasis on posture. I always figured you could meditate in, any comfortable position.
Mm-hmm.
Why is posture so important for Shambhavi Mahamudra?
Well, it's not just about being comfy. It's about, it's about creating the best conditions for energy to flow freely.
Ah, so that's the connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct posture and alignment, they impact your mental state, and they're even tied into the concept of chakras.
Chakras, those are.
Energy centers within the body, yeah.
Okay.
This practice really highlights how interconnected everything is, the body, the mind, the energy.
Right. Something else the book talked about that I really like was creating a sacred space. It seems like it's a big part of the practice.
It is. It's about intentionally, setting up an environment that supports you. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, really.
So, like, what would that look like?
Well, it could just be a quiet corner of your room. The point is to make it feel, special,
Yeah.
a place that helps you connect with that sense of stillness.
So how do you make a space feel sacred? What are some things people can do to personalize it?
Well, use things that resonate with you. Candles, maybe, plants, inspiring images, even just a comfortable cushion.
It's about creating that atmosphere.
Right.
One that helps you connect with that stillness.
That's it. And speaking of setting the stage, the book also emphasizes intention setting.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. How do intentions play into Shambhavi Mahamudra?
Well, think of them as a roadmap for your inner journey.
Okay.
Before you start, you ask yourself, what do I want to cultivate during this practice? Peace, clarity, a deeper connection.
Right.
Setting clear intentions, it focuses your energy and helps you direct your attention.
So it's not just going through the motions, it's about going in with a purpose.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating how all these different elements come together in this practice.
Yeah, it is. We've talked about the philosophy, the importance of breath and posture, creating that special space, setting intentions. I think we're ready to get to the heart of it all now. Can you walk us through like the basic steps? What is someone who's brand new to this? What do they actually do?
All right, so first, you want to find a comfortable seated position. Make sure your spine is straight, but your body's relaxed.
Okay, got it.
Then you close your eyes and gently fix your gaze at that spot between your eyebrows.
Ah, like the third eye.
Exactly.
I've heard that in other meditation stuff I've tried. Is there like a specific reason for focusing on that spot in Shambhavi Maha Mudra?
Well, it's thought to be a powerful point for, intuition and awareness. And then comes the conscious breathing. Inhale deeply through your nose and let your abdomen expand fully. Hold it for a moment and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Let go of any tension or anything that's distracting you. Repeat this a few times until you feel grounded.
So this is like setting the foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while you're holding that gaze at the third eye, you start incorporating the mantra.
Okay.
You can chant it silently or out loud. The sound let it vibrate within you. It helps connect you to the present moment. The mudra, the gaze, the breath, and the mantra all come together to quiet the mind. And that allows you to tap into deeper states of consciousness.
I got to say, even just hearing you describe it is kind of calming.
It's powerful stuff, even though it's so simple. As you finish up, you gradually bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Open your eyes slowly and take a moment to really feel the sensations in your body and mind.
So you don't just like snap out of it, you ease back into your day.
Right. And the more you practice Shambhavi Maha Mudra, the more you'll experience that mindfulness and presence.
Oh, that makes me want to practice it more. This all sounds amazing, but I'm wondering, are there any like common mistakes people make when they try Shambhavi Maha Mudra? Anything we should avoid?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is inconsistency. It's easy to get excited and start strong, but, life happens and suddenly you're not practicing as much.
It's hard to stick with it sometimes.
Yeah, so the key is to make it a part of your routine, even if it's just a few minutes each day.
So slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. Another mistake is focusing too much on results and not the process. If you're always evaluating how peaceful or enlightened you feel, you're kind of missing the point.
So it's about being present in the practice.
Yeah, the magic happens in that present moment, in the doing, not in chasing some outcome.
Just let go of expectations.
Exactly. And then people often forget to carry that mindfulness into their daily life. Shambhavi Maha Mudra isn't just about what happens when you're meditating.
It's about bringing it into everything you do.
Yeah, it's about cultivating a way of being that affects everything.
So even the most mundane tasks, you can be mindful.
Precisely. The more you do that, the more powerful the practice becomes.
I see the book also mention some ways to like enhance the practice, make it even more powerful. What were some of those?
Well, we talked about creating a sacred space, but it's also about finding ways to weave mindfulness into all parts of your life. Think about how you can bring more awareness to simple things like eating, walking, or even listening to someone talk. The more you practice mindfulness throughout the day, the easier it'll be to access that stillness during your Shambhavi Maha Mudra practice.
Like you're training your mindfulness muscles.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about the power of community. Connecting with other people who are practicing Shambhavi Maha Mudra can make a big difference.
Oh yeah, it's not about doing this alone.
Right, sharing experiences and supporting each other, it really helps.
So where can people find that kind of community?
There's tons of options these days. Local meditation groups, online forums, even social media. Websites like meetup.com are a good place to start.
Cool. So there's lots of support out there. I bet some of our listeners are wondering if there are like more advanced levels of Shambhavi Maha Mudra.
Of course. It's a practice with many layers, each one building on the one before. As you get more experience, you can try more advanced techniques, like visualizing energy flow while breathing, or practicing extended silence after the mudra.
Wow. So there's a whole path to explore. It's amazing that something so ancient can still offer so much. The book we're using had all those personal stories from people whose lives were totally changed by Shambhavi Maha Mudra.
It's really inspiring to see how it helps people make positive changes in their lives.
There was this one story that stuck with me about a woman who struggled with anxiety for years. She talked about how Shambhavi Maha Mudra helped her find this sense of peace she'd never felt before.
You hear that a lot from people. They find that it helps them manage stress and anxiety like nothing else has.
And it's not just about dealing with tough emotions, it's about unlocking potential. There was another story about a man who felt stuck in his career. He said that Shambhavi Maha Mudra helped him figure out what he was really passionate about. and it gave him the courage to go after something completely different.
That's the transformative power of this practice. It goes beyond just relaxation. It's about tapping into this deeper awareness and using it to make positive changes.
Yeah, when we started talking about energy flow and chakras,
Yeah.
I was a bit skeptical. It sounded a little out there for me, if you know what I mean.
I get it. It's natural to question things that are outside of our usual way of thinking. But what if we thought about these concepts as metaphors, ways to understand the subtle energies we all have within us? Think about chakras as energy centers that relate to different parts of our being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
So they're not literally like spinning wheels of energy or something.
Not necessarily. It's more about recognizing that energy flows through us in different ways, and these centers can get blocked or unbalanced, which affects our well-being.
Okay, that makes more sense. So if we see it that way, then practices like Shambhavi Maha Mudra, which focus on breath and posture, they could be seen as ways to help regulate and balance those energies.
Exactly. It's about creating a more harmonious environment within ourselves.
So it's like creating the perfect conditions for inner peace and clarity.
Precisely.
So we've covered the transformative power of Shambhavi Maha Mudra. But what about its effect on mental clarity? How does it actually help us think more clearly?
Well, one way it helps is by, it reduces mental clutter. Think about how often your mind is just racing, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts and worries, to-do lists, all that stuff.
That all the time. Tell me about it.
Right. But Shambhavi Maha Mudra, with all that focus on the breath, it helps quiet that noise, creates space for clarity.
That's like hitting pause on all that mental chatter. Makes sense that if you create that space, more insights can come through.
Exactly. It gives your mind a break, lets you see things in a fresh way.
So we've talked about clarity, but what about like emotional stability? How does Shambhavi Maha Mudra help with that?
Well, it trains you to become the observer of your emotions instead of getting swept away by them. It goes back to mindfulness, It's about being able to just witness your emotions without judging them, seeing them as temporary.
Oh, so instead of getting caught up in how intense they feel, you create some distance. That makes a lot of sense.
And that distance, it lets you respond to your emotions in a better way instead of just, reacting without thinking.
You become less reactive and more responsive.
Exactly. And that's a big part of emotional stability.
It really seems like mindfulness is the key that ties everything together in Shambhavi Maha Mudra.
It really is. It runs through every aspect of it.
It's amazing how something so simple can have such a profound impact on, like, our mental and emotional well-being.
I know, right? That's the beauty of it. It's not about some complicated ritual or needing special knowledge. It's about tapping into something we already have: our breath, our awareness, our own ability to be still.
So for anyone listening who's intrigued and wants to learn more, what would you suggest as a next step?
Honestly, the first step is just to be curious.
Okay.
Read more about it, listen to podcasts, check out different teachers, different perspectives, see what resonates with you. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Do your research. Find what feels right.
Yeah. And then, of course, start practicing.
Right.
You don't have to be an expert. Just start with a few minutes each day and see how it feels.
Just take that first step.
Exactly. And remember, consistency is key.
Right. Make it a habit.
A few minutes every day can make a huge difference over time.
And don't forget about finding a community.
Oh, absolutely. Sharing your experience with like-minded people, that can really deepen your understanding and give you support.
It's not about doing this alone.
Nope. Community is so important for spiritual growth.
I love how Shambhavi Maha Mudra is about finding stillness within, but also connecting with others.
It's a beautiful balance. Inner peace and outer connection.
And it all starts with the breath.
It's true. The breath is our anchor, our guide.
Yeah.
It's always there with us on this journey of self-discovery.
This has been a really incredible deep dive into Shambhavi Maha Mudra. So much to think about. Before we go, is there like one last thought you'd like to leave our listeners with? Something to maybe spark their curiosity and inspire them to keep exploring this practice?
Just remember that self-discovery is a lifelong adventure. There's always something new to learn, something deeper to uncover. Come to this practice with an open heart, a curious mind, and be open to the unknown.
Those are powerful words. To our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep practicing, keep diving deeper into the world of Shambhavi Maha Mudra. Who knows what you might find? We talked about how breath is connected to energy and how this practice could help us tap into a deeper source of energy within. What if it's not just about relaxation? What if it's about awakening a hidden potential? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Shambhavi Maha Mudra. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.